Operators manual 1600 horsepower all-service diesel electric locomotive Baldwin Lima Hamilton Corporation Philadelphia Pennsylvania. Operators number AS101A. Standard 1600 horsepower all-service diesel electric locomotive with a D1 controller and a 6L brake equipment, plus modifications such as a multiple unit control, dynamic braking, CE 100 control stand, a 24-hour left, right and left brake equipment, dual current standard, etc. The continents, list of illustrations, general specifications, general description, locomotive cab, electrical equipment cabinet, locomotive operation details of operations, primary standard, diesel engine, pumping air, pump moving locomotive, sanding, electrical load limits, inspection during the operation, cutting out of the traction motor, shopping locomotive, reversing locomotive, stopping engine, shutting down the locomotive, pushing or double heading services, towing dead locomotives, alarms, prospective devices, miscellaneous operations. Multiple unit operation, fuel, oil system, lubrication, oil system, cooling, water system, pneumatic controls, electrical system, dynamic braking, operating difficulties, supplementary humping, and index. One. List of illustrations, all service locomotive, typical locomotive diagram, arrangement of equipment, engineer position D1 controller, engineer position CE controller, typical electrical equipment, cabinet, outside fuel cutoff, reset, overspeed stop, fuel oil system pump, fuel fill gauge, rear fuel fill gauge, center fuel oil system diagram, lube oil system diagram, lube oil pump and strainer, lube oil filling gauge, cooling water system diagram, equipment on the rated bulkhead, water pump at the either bracket, throttle controller diagram, dynamic braking system, resistors, auxiliary equipment, rear view, typical electrical cabinet. Typical control system, the typical locomotive diagram, overall lengths of central pin and locations identical, all three classifications. Figure 1600 horsepower, all service general specification of BLW classification A16, A416, A616, wheel arrangement is 0440, Lewis model 0660, model is the AS416, and the 066 model is the 616. The diagram is for the A16 is 42 inches, and with the rest, driving motor is Ford is 4 and 6 on the A16. Gear ratio is between 1568 and all of them 1563, but the A16 has a 17 to 62 gear ratio as well. The maximum speed limit between 50 and 68 is gear ratio between the A16 and the A416 at 65 miles per hour, and with a gear ratio of 5 to 8, 5/16, the A16 scores a 60 on the miles per hour. Gear ratio of 15 to 16, 15 to 63 comes out with a 70 miles per hour. Max speed is the A16 AS4. 416 is 65 miles an hour. AS616 is 60 miles an hour. The basic mile per hour for a 1762 gear ratio on the A16 is 80 miles an hour. Tropical total approximate weight weight poundage in working order. The A16 is in working order is 242,000 pounds, the A416 215,000 pounds, the A16 325,000. Diesel engine 1, supercharged, the 8-cylinder 8, and they all have 8 cylinders. The fuel oil tank carries around 900 gallons, except for the A16, which carries 1,900 gallons. The lubrication oil capacity is 200 gallons. The cooling water coolant is 300 gallons. The sand capacity is 300 cubic feet. General description: the following operation instruction applies to 1600 horsepower all-service locomotives. The locomotive is designed for flexible operation and general switching of road service. The standard 4-motor or 6-motor single-unit locomotive may be obtained with the modifications permitting multiple operation dynamic braking such as equipment. In addition, with locomotive normally operation of the multiple units of locomotives, single and dynamic braking locomotives, and monitoring unchanged except for the change to certain air items are properly such as equipped generally designated installed. In the absence of locomotive, there's no way of effective stability in no way affects the stability of the remaining instruction. The modification of the 24 right and left brake equipment, the dual control stands of the require revisions instead of the addition to the instructions, such as the operation instruction is described in separate paragraphs. The crew should be familiar with the cab equipment in the equipment cabinet, which are described in the pages immediately in the following. They should be familiar with the manual fan shutter operation with the various protective devices located elsewhere on the locomotive, such as the circuit breaker, overspeed, the emergency fuel offcut, cut off valve, engine and shutdown valve, ground relay, related alarm system, location of the principal items outside of the cab. Cabs are shown in the figure 3. The description, therefore, may be found in the reference of index. An 8-cylinder supercharged diesel engine drives a directly connected main generator while delivers electrical power to non-traction motors geared with a driving axle. Automatically load regulation is provided through the auto load control system, which protects the diesel engine for the overload and assures the maximum smooth acceleration for the fuel or the engine power to output through the normal operation range. The automatic determination of available power, such as does not require the judgment of the engineer. The throttle controls the speed, power, and the maximum. Looking at the locomotive arrangement of the equipment from one, starting at the top of the tip of the cab, we see the operating cab following to the direct left for and around in the perimeter in clockwise motion. Electrical equipment cabinet, compressor, auxiliary generator, main generator, engine over governor, overspeed stop, engine fuel control shaft, panel, oil switch, hot water switch is installed in engine shutdown valve, lure oil filter, manual shutter control, temperature control equipment, fan motor, water radiator, lure oil strainer on the metal edge, heat exchanger, sandbox, lube oil section, strainer, fuel, lure oil filter, fuel oil filter, fuel oil strainer, fuel pumps, fuel tank under the locomotive supplied, and the extra optional equipment layer, reserve load regulator, blowers, battery box, traction motors, rear compartments of the house, dynamic braking, boilers if installed. Simply leaving the engineer free to handle other controls and observe the gauge's signal and road conditions. The auxiliary generator charges the battery engine to control circuits and supplies the electrical exciter 4-pole field with the regulator at constant voltage. Excite the furnace with the many generator field excitations. The battery starts and the engine provided by the standing by lighting service. The engine is started by the pressure of the start button and with the control of the starting circuit connecting the battery and the main generator, which acts on the motor while cranking the engine. The tractor motor blower are engine driven, and the radiator fans are motor driven. The air brakes are supplied by the main reservoir. Pressure up to 125 to 140 pounds. Air is pumped into the reserve at the two-stage compressor, which operates whenever the diesel engine runs. The compressor governor connected by the main reservoir determines whether or not the compressor is actually pumping the high-pressure lines. A generator cut out of preventing the pressure to the exact 440 pound, and to resume the pumping, the pressure drops to 125 pounds. A pneumatic control system operating in the conjunction with the throttle electrical equipment functions at a pressure of 70% or 70 psi. It will require no attention during the normal operation if the gauge indicates the proper reading. Crews and the non-familiar with the multiple operations should carefully observe the distinction between the double heading and the multiple unit when reading, applying these instructions. In the multiple operation locomotives in the same type, they're connected electrically. In addition in the coupling of the drawbars, airlines, or one locomotive control all units in the double heading locomotive, which are similar to may be coupled and controlled independently except for the brakes, which are handled and designated in lead locomotive. Page 8, the locomotive cab.